The beginning is the most important part of the work. If one begins with certainties, one will end in doubts. But if one begins with doubts and is patient in them, one will end in certainties. Courage is knowing what not to fear. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. Courage is the first of human qualities because it is the quality which guarantees the others. The greatest wealth is to live content with little, for there is never want where the mind is satisfied. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. An empty vessel makes the loudest sound, so they that have the least wit are the greatest babblers. True wisdom is not expressed in many words. It is shown in a simple, quiet, and modest life. The measure of a man is what he does with power. The real test of a person's character is how they treat those who have no power, who can do nothing for them. Human behavior flows from three main sources: desire, emotion, and knowledge. The way to gain a good reputation is to endeavor to be what you desire to appear. The soul of man is divided into three parts: reason, spirit, and appetite. The harmonious balance of these parts leads to a virtuous and fulfilled life. He who is not a good servant will not be a good master. A true leader is one who knows how to serve others before himself. We can easily forgive a child who is afraid of the dark. The real tragedy of life is when men are afraid of the light. To be afraid of light is to be afraid of truth, and to be afraid of truth is to be afraid of freedom. The direction in which education starts a man will determine his future in life. The education of the mind is as important as the education of the heart. He who learns must suffer. And even in our sleep, pain that cannot forget falls drop by drop upon the heart, until, in our own despair, comes wisdom through the awful grace of God. The price good men pay for indifference to public affairs is to be ruled by evil men. The penalty for refusing to participate in politics is that you end up being governed by your inferiors. A good decision is based on knowledge and not on numbers. It is more important to know where you are going than to get there quickly. Do not mistake activity for achievement. There are two things a person should never be angry at: what they can help and what they cannot. Anger is a short madness, so control your passion or it will control you. The beginning is half of every action. Well begun is half done. To begin is to be half done, so continue. The soul takes nothing with her to the other world but her education and her culture. These are the only jewels which cannot be taken from us. Knowledge without justice ought to be called cunning rather than wisdom. True knowledge is to know the extent of one's ignorance. The highest form of pure thought is in mathematics. Mathematics is the gateway to the sciences and the key to understanding the universe. Wise men speak because they have something to say. Fools because they have to say something. The right word may be effective, but no word was ever as effective as a rightly timed pause. You can discover more about a person in an hour of play than in a year of conversation. Play reveals the true nature of a person. A hero is born among 100, a wise man is found among 1,000, but an accomplished one might not be found even among 100,000 men. Great men are rare and their value is immeasurable. Good people do not need laws to tell them to act responsibly, while bad people will find a way around the laws. True morality comes from within, not from external rules. Love is a serious mental disease. Love is a powerful and irrational force that can drive us to great heights and depths. The punishment which the wise suffer who refuse to take part in the government is to live under the government of worse men. The wise must take responsibility for governance or suffer the consequences. Philosophy is the highest music. It is the music of the mind, the song of the soul, and the harmony of life. Justice means minding your own business and not meddling with other men's concerns. True justice is a personal matter, an individual pursuit. When the mind is thinking, it is talking to itself. The mind is like a conversation within oneself, a dialogue between different parts of the soul. He who commits injustice is ever made more wretched than he who suffers it. Injustice harms the perpetrator more than the victim. Opinion is the medium between knowledge and ignorance. It is better to have a poor opinion that is true than a rich opinion that is false. Bodily exercise when compulsory does no harm to the body, but knowledge which is acquired under compulsion obtains no hold on the mind. True learning comes from curiosity, not compulsion. Not exact, but a careful conversation about ideas can give a true impression. The value of discussion lies not in its precision, but in its power to stimulate thought. The heaviest penalty for declining to rule is to be ruled by someone inferior to yourself. The worst punishment for not participating in politics is to be governed by your inferiors. To prefer evil to good is not in human nature. And when a man is compelled to choose one of two evils, no one will choose the greater when he might have the less. Human nature always seeks the lesser evil. No one is a friend to his friend who does not love in return. Friendship is mutual love and respect. One of the penalties for refusing to participate in politics is that you end up being governed by your inferiors. The price of apathy in public affairs is to be ruled by evil men. The unexamined life is not worth living. Life without inquiry is not worth living for a human being. The unexamined life is not worth living. Life without inquiry is not worth living for a human being. Courage is a kind of salvation. It is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. Ignorance, the root and stem of every evil. The greatest enemy of knowledge is not ignorance, but the illusion of knowledge. Philosophy begins in wonder. The love of wisdom starts with a sense of awe and curiosity about the world. The first and best victory is to conquer self. To be conquered by oneself is of all things most shameful and vile. Wealth and poverty. One is the parent of luxury and indolence, and the other of meanness and viciousness, and both of discontent. Neither wealth nor poverty brings true happiness. The community which has neither poverty nor riches will always have the noblest principles. True prosperity is found in a community of equals. The soul of man is immortal and imperishable. The soul is eternal and continues its existence after the death of the body. Truth is its own reward. The pursuit of truth is the highest goal of human life. No one ever teaches well who wants to teach, or governs well who wants to govern. The best teachers and leaders are those who do so reluctantly, out of a sense of duty. The greatest mistake doctors make is that they attempt to cure the body without attempting to cure the mind. A healthy mind is the foundation of a healthy body.
Man's greatest privilege is to be alone with his thoughts. Solitude is the source of self-discovery and true wisdom. To suffer injustice is nothing. To commit injustice is a crime. The greatest harm is done to the soul of the one who commits the injustice. For the extreme of injustice is to seem to be just when one is not. Hypocrisy is the worst form of injustice. False words are not only evil in themselves, but they infect the soul with evil. Lies corrupt the soul and lead to further wrongdoing. Justice in the life and conduct of the state is possible only as first it resides in the hearts and souls of the citizens. A just society is built on the foundation of just individuals. All learning has an emotional base. True learning engages both the mind and the heart. No law or ordinance is mightier than understanding. True justice is based on wisdom and understanding, not on rigid rules. Necessity is the mother of invention. Difficult circumstances inspire ingenious solutions. He who steals a little steals with the same wish as he who steals much, but with less power. The intent to steal is the same, regardless of the amount stolen. When there is an income tax, the just man will pay more, and the unjust less on the same amount of income. A fair tax system requires honest participation from all.
This city is what it is because our citizens are what they are. The character of a city reflects the character of its inhabitants. There is no harm in repeating a good thing. Good actions and ideas should be reinforced through repetition. There is no harm in repeating a good thing. Good actions and ideas should be reinforced through repetition. The direction in which education starts a man will determine his future life. Early education shapes the course of a person's life. Music is a moral law. It gives soul to the universe, wings to the mind, flight to the imagination, and charm and gaiety to life and to everything. Music is the universal language of the soul. Time is the moving image of eternity. Time is a reflection of the eternal, an ever-changing manifestation of the unchanging. Music and rhythm find their way into the secret places of the soul. Music has the power to touch the deepest parts of our being.